In the year 2017, inside the Mountain View headquarters of Google, a group of 8 researchers published a paper that would accidentally hand their rivals the keys to the kingdom. It was called Attention is All You Need. It introduced the transformer architecture, the very engine that powers every modern AI we see today. But here is the paradox. Google, the giant with the most data, the most capital, and the smartest minds, had everything they needed to own the future. Yet, they did nothing. They were paralyzed by the innovator's dilemma. They were so afraid of ruining their primary search business, which makes them billions of dollars every single month, that they kept their most revolutionary tech locked in the basement. They chose safety over chaos. But while Google played it safe, a small, scrappy, and dangerously ambitious group of outsiders in San Francisco was watching. They weren't looking for safety. They were looking for a spark, and Google had just handed them the match. This isn't just a corporate rivalry. It's a story of how a titan became too big to move, and how a startup decided to bet the entire house on a single, world-changing idea. OpenAI was never supposed to be a product company. Founded in 2015 by Sam Altman, Elon Musk, and several others, it was originally a nonprofit. Their mission? To ensure that artificial general intelligence, or AGI, benefits all of humanity. They were the underdogs, the good guys, fighting against the potential monopolies of big tech. But a funny thing happens when you try to build the most complex software in human history. You realize it costs billions. To train the models that would eventually become GPT, they needed massive amounts of computing power from specialized chips. They needed a partner with deep pockets. In 2019, they made a controversial pivot. They created a capped profit arm and took a $1 billion investment from Microsoft. This was the moment the soul of the company began to shift. They weren't just a research lab anymore. They were now a weapon in Microsoft's hands, aimed directly at Google's heart. While Google was peer-reviewing their research and worrying about brand safety, OpenAI was quietly building a digital brain that was learning at an exponential rate, feeding on the collective knowledge of the entire internet. The stage was set for a confrontation, and the world was about to see what happens when you let a genie out of its bottle. November 30th, 2022. That is the date the Earth shifted for the tech industry. OpenAI released ChatGPT, and within 5 days, it had 1 million users. It was the fastest growing consumer application in history. Inside Google's headquarters, the atmosphere turned from calm to chaotic. For the first time in 20 years, their dominance in search was under direct threat. Reports emerged that Google's management declared a code red. They brought back the original founders, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, who hadn't been active in years, to review their AI strategy. Think about that. The masters of the internet were so spooked by a startup's chatbot that they had to call for an emergency resurrection of their leadership. The fear wasn't that ChatGPT was perfect, because it wasn't. It hallucinated, it lied, and it was often wrong. The fear was the user experience. For decades, Google had taught us to look for links. OpenAI taught us we could simply ask for answers. One is a library, the other is a personal assistant. Google realized that if they didn't act fast, they would become the next Blockbuster, or the next Kodak, a giant left behind by a technology they themselves had helped create. Google's response was swift, but messy. They rushed to launch Bard, their own competitor to ChatGPT. But in a high-stakes promotional video, Bard made a factual error about the James Webb Space Telescope. That single mistake wiped out $100 billion of Google's market value in a single day. It was a humiliating blow. But you can never count Google out. They merged their 2 powerhouse AI divisions, Google Brain and DeepMind, into a single unit. They stopped playing nice. They poured every resource into Gemini, their next-generation multimodal model. Google's advantage is their ecosystem. They have Android, YouTube, Gmail, and Docs. They have more personal data than perhaps any entity on the planet. While OpenAI had the first-mover advantage, Google had the distribution advantage. They began weaving AI into every single product they own. The war moved from a chat window to the palm of your hand. This wasn't just about who made the smartest bot anymore. It was about who could control the operating system of our daily lives. The battle lines were drawn. On one side, the hungry disruptor with the backing of Microsoft. On the other, the established king with an ocean of data and a thirst for revenge. Behind OpenAI stands the world's most valuable company, Microsoft. This is the ultimate proxy war. Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft, saw OpenAI as the vehicle to finally take down Google Search. By investing over $13 billion, Microsoft secured a 49% stake in the profits. They integrated GPT into Bing, into Windows, and into their Office suite. This created a fascinating dynamic. OpenAI provides the brain, and Microsoft provides the massive cloud infrastructure, the Azure servers, and the global sales force. Without Microsoft's chips, OpenAI would be a brain without a body. But this partnership isn't without friction. OpenAI wants to be independent, but they are tied to a corporate giant that has its own shareholders to please. Every time Sam Altman makes a move, he has to navigate the complex web of big tech politics. When Altman was briefly fired by the OpenAI board in late 2023, Microsoft was the one who played the hero, offering to hire everyone and forcing the board to reinstate him. This showed the world who really pulls the strings. The AI war isn't just about code, it's about power, leverage, and who owns the infrastructure of the future. There is a hidden cost to this war that neither side likes to talk about. Power. These AI models are incredibly thirsty. Every time you ask a question, it requires thousands of times more energy than a standard Google search. We are seeing a massive surge in the construction of data centers that consume as much electricity as small cities. This has created a secondary war, the war for energy and chips. Sam Altman has even discussed raising $7 trillion, yes, trillion with a T, to reshape the global semiconductor industry. This is no longer just a software competition. It is a race to secure the physical resources of the planet. Both Google and Microsoft are now investing in nuclear energy to power their AI dreams. The environmental impact and the sheer scale of the investment required are staggering. It raises a deep philosophical question. Is the promise of an AI that can solve cancer and climate change worth the massive environmental footprint it creates in the short term? The two giants are betting everything that the answer is yes. They are racing toward a future where AI isn't just an app, it's the very foundation of the global economy. But the bills for that future are already coming due. The finish line for both Google and OpenAI isn't just a better search engine, it's AGI, Artificial General Intelligence. This is the holy grail, a machine that can perform any intellectual task a human can, but faster and at a scale we can't imagine. OpenAI's charter explicitly states that their mission is to build this safely. Google's DeepMind has been chasing this same goal since before OpenAI even existed. The company that reaches AGI first will effectively own the most powerful tool in the history of our species. It's like being the first to discover fire, or the first to split the atom. But the risks are just as high. If the race remains this competitive, will safety be sacrificed for speed? Will we see a Manhattan Project for AI that ignores the warnings of ethics committees? We are already seeing hallucinations and biased data. But with AGI, those mistakes could be catastrophic. This is why the war matters to you, even if you never use a chatbot. The winner of this race will define the rules of the 21st century. They will decide how we work, how we learn, and what it even means to be creative. We are watching the most important competition of our lives happen in real time. So, what is the lesson of this AI war? It's that in tech, no king rules forever. Google's 20-year reign was built on the back of a revolutionary algorithm, but that very success made them complacent. OpenAI reminded the world that a small group of people with a radical vision can still move the needle. But perhaps the true winners aren't Google or Microsoft. It's us, the users. We are witnessing an explosion of human productivity. The tools being built today are making the impossible possible. We are seeing AI discover new materials, translate any language in real time, and write code that would take humans weeks. The business insight here is simple. Efficiency is the enemy of innovation. If you are too focused on protecting what you have, you will lose what you could have. Whether the future is led by the agility of OpenAI or the massive scale of Google, one thing is certain. The world as we knew it before 2022 is gone. We are now living in the AI era, and this war is just the opening act. The question is no longer who will win, but how we will navigate the world they are building. The revolution hasn't just been televised, it's been programmed. I hope this deep dive gave you a new perspective on the strategies and the relentless mindset behind these global icons. If you enjoy deconstructing business empires and tech legends in this Tech Archive style, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on all notifications. That way, you will never miss a new blueprint of history. For those of you ready to explore more boardroom coups and technological breakthroughs, I have handpicked 2 videos for you right here on the screen. Click one to keep watching. I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.